Tell us something, personal finance mantras for our channel viewers, Mr. Pratik.
Absolutely. So in personal finance, so I take a lot of interest in personal finance. I think personal finance is extremely important. I think my biggest mantra is to, spend, is to take personal finance very seriously. The problem is that most of us, I think, spend disproportionate amount of time on our jobs, on our salaries, and not in our investments. And to be honest, I can't think of any wealthy person who's made money on a salary. Everybody is wealthy because they own something. They own a company, private or public. They own their own brand. They own their own business. They own some asset somewhere. So I think the only way to really becoming wealthy is to not get that higher salary. It's to actually own something, and that's why personal finance comes in very important. I would say that investors who are starting off young could look at a benchmark saying that by 50 or 55, your earnings from your investment should be higher than your earnings from your daily income, which I think is a great just a great metric to have. The third is to start early. So trick about investing is to not really invest right. That's fine. That is fine. What's important is to invest early, because the secret sauce of investing is compounding, and compounding is something which none of us understand, including me. Sometimes I get baffled by compounding. It's only when I look back do I understand compounding. But overall, I think compounding is the most important generator for wealth globally. And I think for compounding to work, you need to do two things. One is to invest early, giving for your wealth to compound. So to give an example, Warren Buffett made his first $1 billion at age 65, and then his $100 billion by age 85. So what took him 50 years to go from 0 to 1 took him another 20 years from 1 to 100, which is something which our brains cannot really understand. And that's the power of compounding. So the earlier you invest, the better it is. And the second, the one is invest early. The second is don't lose money. Don't sell your investments at losses, because that's when the compounding formula breaks. Compounding formula breaks if you sell your investments at losses. So whenever there is a crash in the market or something short term, don't be worried, because markets over the long term always go up. So at least if you've held the right investments, if you have a very stable, diversified portfolio, it's a very important, make sure that you don't sell your investments at losses, because then compounding breaks, and then you'll never be able to get that exponential curve. Lastly, I think very important is to keep things very simple. I keep saying this, don't market, invest in simple products. There's a lot of distraction out there in the world today with, NFTs and cryptocurrency and all of these things. Make sure that 80-90% of your wealth goes into something extremely simple, extremely stable, something that you can see yourself holding on for 10, 15, 20 years. I have been in the industry for 10, 15, almost 15 years, about 12 years time, and I have yet to meet someone who's gotten wealthy overnight. Most people I meet have gotten wealthy over 20, 25, 30 years, and that's because of compounding, not because of the investments, the right investments they made. So very important, very difficult. And if you want to have this urge of, speculating, then do it, but do it with a small amount. Do it with a very small amount that you're okay to lose. But 90% of your wealth should go into something very simple, and something which you can, ensure that you can hold for many, many years. So these are some of the things that I think are very important.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.